Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be customising some Daleks. There are 6 to a sprue and they're all identical. I'm hoping to change that. These went on sale for half price at Warlord Games last year, as they chose not to renew the Doctor Who licence. So I'm going to get these cut out, cleaned up and glued together. And then I'm going to decide what modifications I'm wanting to make. Each Dalek comprises of 3 parts, and by and large they go together without any problems. Although I do end up with some slight gaps here and there, and those are easily filled in with some modelling putty. This is what they look like so far, and now it's time to start modifying them. And I'm going to start by simply chopping the heads off a couple of them and repositioning them. This will help make them look a little bit less static, because there's nothing worse than having an army of Daleks all in the same identical pose. So I've now got one guy looking to the left and one looking to the right. And now to move on to something a little bit more complicated, I'm chopping this guy in half to make it look like he's been destroyed. I'm going to need to mix up some green stuff for this one, and this will help fill in the inside. Plus I'm also cutting up and inserting a few bits of scrap plastic, and this should hopefully pass for the inner workings of the Dalek. I've picked out a large base for this as well. So I have enough space for the severed head to lie alongside the body and create my own little scene. And at this scale I don't think there's any need to add an excessive amount of detail. We just need enough to sell the illusion. And that's this Dalek finished. Just need to put to one side to set. And for the next one I need a flat surface to work from. It's well known that Daleks have a person inside operating them, so that's going to be one of my modifications in this video. I just need to go through my sprue stash and find an appropriate model. First I had to file down the torso, as I wanted it to look like it fit in with the same scale of the Dalek. And I put the torso into the green stuff before it had a chance to set, and this will help me to align the model when it's time to glue it into place. And next I need to find an appropriate head and some arms, and then those are glued into place. I did have to use the heat gun to bend the arms into a better position. I managed to find an arm holding a can of pop, which I thought would be perfect for this guy as he's taking a break. With just one more part of this build to do, that's to attach the open head. I'm using this little hand drill so I can attach it via a rod, and this will give me a little bit more support than just glue alone. Once I've cut the rod down to size, I glue both ends and thread in the 1mm thick plastic. So that combined with the glue should make it quite sturdy, but I want to add a little bit more support just to be on the safe side. I've cut out 2 thin pieces of styrene to act as straps, so not only does it give me a little bit more detail, but it's also an additional anchor point. Just have to use the tip of a craft knife to try and get it aligned. I can now glue them to the bases and begin painting. As usual, I always start off with a primer, as this will give me a base to work from. Then I painted all the Daleks in gold. I'm planning on using the darker gold for the base and a lighter gold for the highlights. But before I do that I want to work on the shadows, and for that I use a black panel liner, as this will seep into all the recesses and give me some shading. And after that I paint the remaining Dalek in black, and this will represent Dalek Sec from the cult of Skaro. And while I'm using black I paint on all the additional details, including the vent and the skirt, the eye stalk and the tip of the plunger. And then I move on to painting the silver parts, which are the weapon arms. For the lights on top of the head I use a watered down white, and this is to help it seep into the crevices. Any overspill can simply be wiped off by my finger. I had a dot of white for the tip of the eye stalk to act as an undercoat, and then on top of that I dab on some pale blue for the lens. Because the black Dalek is hard to see, I dry brush on a little bit of white, and this brings out all the raised details. I apply some brighter gold to the raised areas of the Daleks, and this involves painting all those balls individually. It's time consuming, but the detail is worth it. Because the exploded Dalek is going to have an exterior setting, I paint the base brown, and this will act as a muddy undercolour. For the human operated Dalek, this is going to be in a studio setting, so I paint the base nice and grey. And to finish them off, I give both bases a nice black trim. The man inside the Dalek is as of yet unpainted, so I decided to make the process easier and actually attach him to the Dalek first, and that way I can use the Dalek as a handle so I can paint him. And while that glue is setting, I return to finish the exploded Dalek. First I apply a layer of PVA glue to the base, and then dip it into this terrain bag. I twist it around in there to make sure I have a good coverage, and that's looking great. It just needs locking into place. And to do that I cover it in this fixer, and then leave it to set. Then to attach the top end of the Dalek to the base, I use this clear Gorilla Glue, as it will cover more surface area than regular glue. And lastly I can apply the blast mark from where it exploded. And now let's move on to the studio Dalek. This guy's wearing a t-shirt and he's holding a can of pop. So the first thing I do is paint on his flesh, followed by his hair. Then I paint the can of pop red with silver on top and bottom. And I even paint on a little black dot for the opening. I painted his t-shirt in grey, followed by a blue wash, and that completed his look. And then I sealed in all the Daleks with a matte varnish, and we're finished. And just to go through everything we've done once more, we have one Dalek assembled and painted as intended. The next one is assembled the same, but with a different colour scheme. The next two have repositioned heads. And then we clearly have the destroyed Dalek. Then lastly, we have the studio Dalek when the man inside is having a break. So those are my Dalek customisations. If you have any suggestions of what I can make next, let me know in the comments below, as I do have more Daleks waiting to be assembled. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, if I can do it, so can you.